Hi guys, my name is Noni Matigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Guys, quickly, let's address this. Because why is this becoming a norm for Brigadier Giminda? Why is he being accused about this? Because there is a video on social media of a man calling himself Becky Temba. What's his name? I forgot his name. Lukele. Yes. Becky Temba Lukele accusing Giminda of offering him 3 million that he never received, so that he can become a Section 204 for the Donovan Crange case. And my goodness, the things that he's saying happened to him is mostly the same as the things that Ntanzi said happened to him. Apparently, Ugininda offered him 3 million so that he can go and say, Crange did this and that to me. Oh, it's so painful. I'm so even scared to put it here, guys. Just go to Patricia Mashele's Facebook page. You will find that video of that man there. Please, okay? Go there, you will find it. Now, I'm talking about it because I'm reminded by Ntanzi now when he was doing his evidence in chief, where he comes with the same allegation. Hear me out. There are times, there comes a time or a moment in certain trials where everything else shifts. Ne? A moment when the case stops being about the evidence, stop being about something far more, start being about something far more dangerous. Money. Yes. You know, Cardi B, money, yes, that one. Because what happens when a murder trial is no longer about facts, no longer about forensic run or forensic truth, no longer about who pulled the trigger, but about who was willing to pay for the version of events. It happened in the Senzo Meyiwa case. It's the second time Ntanzi is talking about this. He spoke about it in the trial, within a trial. He's speaking about it even now. What happens when an accused person stands on an open court and says, I was offered 3 million rand to point out the killers of Senzo Meyiwa? Let us be clear. He says, Gininda reminded him, do you know that if someone actually points at the people that killed Meyiwa, that person will get paid. There is money that is set aside for that. He meant the slush fund, ne? That slush fund that everyone is talking about. Sana. Yeah. Okay. Let us be very clear. This is not street talk, this one of dancing. That other one was social media talk there, by Patricia's page. There's a man there, there's a video of a guy who claims Ugininda forced him to be a Section 204 by bleaching and you know the things that they do to people. So this one of Ntanzi, I'm not talking about rumors, I'm not talking about street talk, I'm not talking about social media speculation here. This was placed on official record, official court record to be precise, in the murder trial of Senzo Meyiwa. And it was led under oath by Advocate Ramsipeli. Did you get that? It was under oath. And on the witness box is Bongani Ntanzi. He dropped a statement that has now detonated across this case. Because once that claim was uttered, the central question of this trial changed forever. It is no longer be who killed Senzo, and now also, was someone trying to manufacture evidence or a version of events? What's going on? Okay, let's talk about what unfolded. Ntanzi told the court that during his detention, a conversation took place with police officers. Not casual conversation, not banter, a proposal. He explains that one of the officers asked him whether he knew about the money that is set aside for anyone who could identify Senzo Meyiwa's killers, a ransom, a reward, a deal. Ntanzi's response was direct, no, I don't know anything. Then comes the follow-up question. If you were to enter into a deal, would you take the 3 million? 3 million rand, guys. 3 meter. 3 meter, ke son. Ntanzi says he refused. He tells the court he works at the mine. He earns enough to support his family. He wants nothing to do with that deal with the police. And then, according to his testimony, the officer responded with words that now echo. Yes. Ominously. Because what? Ukinina now is like, you will see, you will tell the truth, you will do this. Hey! Those words matter, Gesana, because they imply pressure, they imply expectation, they imply unfinished business. We will come back to this. We will talk about this. And Advocate Ramsipule presses further and asks, where was other people during Muhola during this conversation? Undanzi says, all of us were there in one place. And when he was later walking back towards the cells, another officer, Mabena now, called him back. Danzi says that the officer told him, I am still going, you will see, Uzobona. Uzobona, you will tell the truth. Danzi responded to Mabena by saying, awokosalayo andimazi ngubani owabulala uSenzo, andazi lutho ngokufa kukaSenzo. No confession, no deal, no cooperation. He is locked up again. And then comes a detail that makes this even more disturbing. Danzi tells the court he did not see a lawyer. He did not he had no legal consultation. He received no notice of rights. The next day, he would be taken to court for a statement to obtain from him. 3 officers came to pick him up. No lawyer, no independent oversight, just police. Just police, guys. So do you see now? Do you see why this whole situation will never be okay? Because an allegation of this nature is not a procedural hiccup, guys. It is a legal earthquake. If true, it raises at least 3 serious legal consequences. Potential witness contamination. Under South African law, any financial inducement offered to a suspect or witness can amount to improper influence. Evidence obtained through coercion, threats, and inducement can be challenged and excluded, not adjusted, not minimized, excluded. Secondly, trial integrity is at risk. This trial is presided over by Judge Rata Mokgoatlheng. The court has a constitutional duty to ensure fairness on both sides. If money was offered to secure a pointing out or a testimony, then the defense can legitimately argue the investigation was tainted. They can. It was compromised. The credibility of the investigation was tainted and also compromised. The entire chain of evidence requires scrutiny. And yes, that includes the conduct of Brigadier Bongani Gwininda and his colleagues. That cold storage unit, and allegations are not proof, right? They must be tested, they must be challenged, they must be cross-examined. But allegations of this magnitude do something very specific in law. They create reasonable doubt conversations. Ask yourself this. Why would an accused fabricate such a precise figure, 3 million rand, if it was not offered, or if that offer never existed? What motive would Ndanzi have to risk perjury on a claim of this specific? And now, if such an offer did exist, what does that say about the investigation? Besides that, as I started this video earlier, I talked about the man that is saying the same thing about Gwininda. It can't be a coincidence. No ways. This trial now is no longer about just 2014. It is no longer only about a gunshot in Vosloorus. It is not about the path to justice itself. Was the state building a case or building a narrative? That is the question. Because if money was on the table, then we are not talking about justice. We are talking about engineering outcomes. So from the defense perspective, this moment is devastatingly powerful. It plans possible fabrication, improper inducement, investigative bias. Even the court ultimately rejects the allegation. Perception damage lingers. If 3 million rand was offered, that is corruption, guys. If it wasn't, this is one of the boldest courtroom bluffs South Africa has seen in years. Either way, the question that I have is, if Ndanzi says this about Brigadier Gininda, and then there is someone who did a video the same week that Ndanzi was saying the same thing, they don't know each other. That person is talking about a different case. Ndanzi is talking about this one. I'll leave that to you. You need to just tell me what do you think about this? And the Senzo Mewa trial will never sound the same again after this. So let's leave that to you. What are your thoughts? Thank you so much. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.